Hi, Leslie.
Hey Rob. Oh my goodness gracious.
All right, so
Here, let me switch you to.
which one you like? There you go. You can take whichever one you want. You want this one? Let's let the audience choose. You want the one on
No,
the right? Let's go with that.
the other one is good. It's just the feedback.
Here, we're gonna make the other one go away. There we go. It's gone.
I love this, technology. What would we do without it, right?
You had two versions of me. One was like my AI twin.
I like the AI twin too. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. I'm Leslie Mota. Welcome to the Nightly Recap, powered by Gokhshtein News Network, your trusted source for politics, crypto, and everything in between that makes you question reality. And like I like to say, sometimes your sanity. Tonight, joining us is Rob Nelson. He is a seasoned media personality and crypto analyst, best known for his work with the Street Crypto, where he covers breaking trends and insights in the cryptocurrency market. And also, he is best known for the show The Full Nelson on Fox. Rob, how the heck are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking, Leslie. I can't complain. I've got, except for glasses, I'll take them off. I have to wear glasses, once you get after 40. But so, like now you're all blurry, so it's all good. It's a blurry world out there. It's a
No,
very blurry world we live in. That's what I got to say. Everything's a little in the fog these days.
in the fog. Look, pretty soon I'm going to need glasses. So if you need to wear them, feel free to wear them because I know that I am going to be right there with you one day. I think
I'm
I'm
holding
already
out.
headed there.
I'm
Look,
holding
I
out.
have to wear glasses to wear TV to watch TV at night. So I'm almost there.
All right. Well, no, I'm good. Thanks for asking. Exciting times, a lot happening. I'm excited about doing this recap with you. Can't wait to get to the conspiracy stuff, but I know I know we gotta deal with the news first. So,
I know
you
we
know,
got to tackle the news, and I'm excited about the conspiracies because I want you to chat about what you were telling me backstage. So, very interesting stuff. So, up on the news today, crypto bounces back. ETH reclaims 2,600 and Bitcoin reclaims 109,000. So, do you think we're going higher, Rob?
yes. So I would say I'd be cautious on the ETH. Ethereum's always going to be, it's a little in competition with Solana. I mean, the Ethereum's going to be fine, but I mean, I moved, I'll be honest, I moved most of my, I moved out of most of my Ethereum. I was like, I still have some Ethereum. I still have some Solana. Believe it or not, I still have XRP. But I'm all in on Bitcoin. I'm not a maximalist, but I would say, and again, I've asked a lot of people this question. People who know more than me, people who've had Bitcoin for way longer than me. Um, and most of them ultimately say, anybody predicting where it's going to go, you're all just fools guessing in the wind. Like at the end of the day, nobody really knows for sure. But Leslie, here's what I would say. the numbers, the Bitcoin moves in a window. It'll go, if you watch it over time, especially in the last couple of years, it moves between like a frame. It's like, so it dropped to like, 100 last week. Now it's at 109. Before that, it would bounce between, 99 and 91. Before that, it would bounce between 85 and 90, whatever it is. It bounces in about a 10% window. I would not expect it to stay at 109. I would expect it to drop back to 104, maybe 103. Then it will bounce back up to 109, 108, eventually 110. Once it crosses 110, it'll start a new cycle, and it'll go between 100, say, 11 and 120. I don't see a scenario where Bitcoin doesn't reach 125 or 150,000 by the end of the year. I think the economics, the math, boy girl math, girl math, do it however you want. Like, it's a finite asset. It's a stable, for a young currency. It's very stable. There's enormous demand. The Black Rocks and whatnot are selling retail now. You're seeing moves toward whatever you want to call them, whether it's a version of a U.S. reserve, or a Florida reserve, or a Texas reserve. You're seeing big capital players coming in. So I would say, I would expect it's reasonable to assume it's going to be around 125, 150 by the end of the year, and that might be a modest view based off, again, just off the facts, not based off any crazy stuff, just off kind of the economics of supply and demand. Long answer, sorry, but I
No,
know
you're
people
good.
care about it, so.
Yeah, I see Landy here in the chat. Landy is a big Bitcoiner too, so I know that, and he's into conspiracies like we are. Um, but yeah, I think Bitcoin. I mean, it's going somewhere, and you said it very well. Up next, verdict in for Diddy. Sean Diddy Combs convicted on prostitution charges, found not guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking. I have my mixed opinions on this one. I'm like, Rob, who the hell is pulling the strings?
No, no
Because
strings. No strings, Leslie. Look,
no.
no strings. No strings. There is no conspiracy in this. Look, the government made a huge mistake. And they did, by the way, convict him of trafficking for prostitution on 2 counts. Each of those counts technically could face a 10-year sentence. I do think Diddy's going to get jail time. I don't know how lenient the judge is going to be, because I think the judge is probably like, you're a disgusting human being, and whether you committed these crimes or not, again, I can't sentence you to jail for being a bad person, but I can sentence you to jail for the crimes you committed. And you did commit 2 crimes that you were convicted of. Each of carries a potential 10-year sentence. The reason, Leslie, they didn't get him on the other stuff is the government never had. Why? I was like, why are you going after him for RICO? He's not
Mhm.
running a. He's not running someone. He's not running a mob. Like,
Right.
so when you watch it, are you a horrible human being? Did you drag your girlfriend through the elevator and kick the crap out of her? And maybe she agreed, sort of coerced, high on drugs, to be your sex toy, I guess. But at the end of the day, none of that is federal RICO. I mean, people don't even know what RICO is. This poor jury's like being asked to deliberate on RICO, and it's like, can someone just explain the RICO statute to me? I mean, look, they got Al Capone on tax evasion at the end of the day. Like, that was the best they could do. How they were ever going to make a whole criminal conspiracy around P. Diddy always struck me as like a losing battle. And I think the prosecution they didn't charge him on being a abusive person. People are like, but he beat his girlfriend up. Well, that's not one of the charges. The charge was that you were committing a conspiracy, a criminal conspiracy. That was what they were charging him on, not you beat the crap out of your girlfriend in an elevator. You're guilty of domestic abuse. No, you're guilty of running a criminal enterprise. And the jury was like, I don't really see the criminal enterprise here.
Do you think a lot of the women that took the stand might have helped the case more than hurt the case?
That's a great question. I was going to ask you, do you think the women who took the stand wish they hadn't? Do you think they came out and like put their hearts and soul on the line, only to see him kind of, again, not because I think the jury was stacked or there was a setup. I think it was a really hard charge to prove. I'm glad they That jury was going to convict him on something. I don't think people should underestimate. He did just get convicted on 2 felonies, each with potential 10-year sentences. The judge has the ability to give him 10 years. I don't
Yeah,
see
no.
him not getting jail time.
I think a lot of people right now, I'm reading a lot of mixed emotions. There are some people that say that he is going to get jail time, and there are some people that are saying that he's actually going to walk away. And then also mixed emotions about some of the people that came to testify against him ended up, helping the case more than hurting it based on everything that surfaced, with those testimonies.
And that's possible. And look, I can't imagine what it takes to put yourself up there and sort of admit some of the stuff that
Mhm.
you're admitting. And the one, you know, the main Cassie Ventura said, "Look, I did keep coming back to him. I did. I really loved him." It's kind of heartbreaking. It's sort of like she didn't say he dragged me back. She's like, "No, I willingly came back, but it was a little coercive." It's a hard one. I'll tell you this, Leslie. If he doesn't get jail time, then you and I can talk about a conspiracy. If he
Okay,
doesn't,
got
if
it.
he doesn't get jail time, then we can talk about a conspiracy because there is no reason for that judge not to say, at a minimum, you're getting X amount of years in jail. And maybe I'm going to throw the book at you because I think you're just a dick, and I'm giving you 20 fucking years. Like,
I mean, if he just gets community service, then what the hell
oh,
is really
oh,
happening? What the hell is
oh,
going
then,
on?
then we're going conspiracy next level.
All the
Like,
way, because I got my conspiracy theories behind that. So we will definitely talk when that verdict is in. So, up next, deficit talk heats up. President Trump claims the US deficit has been cut in half ahead of his big, beautiful bill.
no. Ah, all right.
Oh
All the
my
MAGA
goodness.
people out there can line up their guns on me right now. Look, I have been a fan of Donald Trump since he first came down the escalator in 2015. I have always liked that he was a rebel rouser, a troublemaker, a bull in the china shop. I always said, good for him. I'm older than you, Leslie. I'm older than most people probably watching. I grew up in politics in the 90s as a Gen Xer. In fact, the New York Times said I'm the original spokesperson for Generation X because they actually called us the slackers. And we didn't like being called slackers. And I ran a big organization, and 6 of us basically were like, let's give ourselves a better name. And we came up with Gen X. So if you listen to news reports in the 90s, they're like, they call themselves Generation X. It was like, that's what we called ourselves. It just stuck. Um, I launched a deficit reduction campaign built around young people who now were 50 somethings, but we were in our 20s then. And
Mhm.
Bill Clinton famously said to me, Rob, I cut the deficit in half like your pledge asked for. They've not cut it. They are literally, look, they are going to add so much debt in this bill. And I get it. I get, and I have a lot of respect for his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, saying, look, we can outgrow this. And maybe. But the notion that they're pretending they're not, they're raising probably $4 to $5 trillion in the debt, in debt over the next 10 years. And that's at some point we got to sort of spend within our means and stop screwing over the future. And I'm not knocking a lot of what's in this bill, and I get Trump's egos attached to it. But when people are like, it's all good, I'm like, there's a lot of good stuff in it. Congress is full of pork, and everybody gets their little bit to say yes. And at the end of the day, I don't know. Can we look? By the way, the alternative of like raising taxes is worse. So I'm not saying we should. I get they want to reduce taxes. The problem is you reduce taxes, but you increase spending. We don't seem to know how to reduce taxes and not spend. It's like, well, we do both? Like,
So what is the big need to spend and add additional debt? I mean, it seems like every president that comes in, it's just the debt. It keeps piling on, and we can never really get rid of it.
I mean, yeah, well, I guess, that's where Elon Musk gets all crazy about the pork in politics, right? He's like,
Yeah.
it's a pork fest. Sorry, my phone's on a conspiracy, so I'm having to add a little power source here.
Okay.
I think that's where, you get the whole, notion of like, this is a government that can't not spend money. And I get it. It's pretty hard. A divided government, trying to like, you know, manage their competing interests. Everybody needs to get something to be in. I think that's what happens.
No,
It's
absolutely.
not well designed for efficiency.
Not at all. Up next, tariffs on the table. President Trump says he recently made a trade deal with Vietnam. Vietnam will pay a 20% tariff on all goods and 40% on trans shipping, while granting the U.S. full access to its trademarks. Wait, trademarks? Need to research that a little bit more.
I didn't follow that. You're gonna have to run that one by me again.
So here, let me. So
That's all right.
what I'm
My
what
phone
I'm
is
reading is
moving
that.
around while you do it. I'm
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you fine. I'm just trying
Okay.
to make sure. Worst case, Leslie, I'm gonna bounce over to my computer if the conspiracy people shut me off here.
Okay. I mean, we already see that the computer does work, so we can definitely flip flop to that. So what
Right?
I'm
I think we're
understanding.
good though. I think we're okay for now.
Okay. So did you want me to reread that one? I
Yeah, so it's about China and tariffs, right?
Yeah, so it's about Vietnam. President Trump's he recently made a trade deal with Vietnam. Vietnam will pay 20% tariff on all goods and 40% on trans shipping, while granting the US full access to its trademarks.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess a lot of people will see this as a win-win for the United States.
I don't know. So I don't know what the trademarks thing is. I think maybe it's to our trade markets. I think that's what it is. But we'll give them look, Vietnam's an interesting trading partner, right? They're smaller. It's not like China.
Oh, so let's see. Here comes Rob. The conspiracy theorists are really taking him because, guys, he has some juicy stuff for us. Okay, I can't hear you.
They knock me off for a second, I come back. I may be a little more blurry, I may be a little blue, but I'm back. They don't keep me down.
Look, they're really trying to get you, and they
Mhm.
don't want us to know, or for you to
No.
tell me what you're
And
going to
I
tell
don't look
me.
all perfect like you do. I definitely look like I'm in the abyss, but whatever. I'll live with the abyss and adjust as we go. Here, I'm going to adjust it a little bit
Look,
here. I'm just going to keep adjusting till I get a
you're
little
gonna
there, a little better, a little better, and a little better. I'm just not going to quit. They're not keeping me
no,
down.
they're not keeping. I actually like blue, so
I'm all
Rob is
blue
blue
here.
today for a little bit.
I'm blue. You know what? I might just to be honest, everybody listening, this might not even be me. Think about how quickly I reappeared. Maybe this was just my AI version, and I'm actually swimming in the ocean right now, and this guy's just talking for me. He's a little bluer, and Leslie's like, I don't know if he's real or not real. I can't tell you. I'm not in the room.
Look, I saw the ocean earlier behind you, so I believe that you this is probably an AI just speaking on your behalf.
Yeah, Rob's having fun swimming right now.
Yes, he is. So up next on
So
the news.
Yeah, let's move
Sorry, go
on.
ahead,
I'll
Rob.
be honest, the Vietnam thing, I think it's sidebar. I think they're trying to prove they can make any deals because the media's like they're not really making deals. The Vietnam deal's like I don't think it's hugely significant either way.
No, I think the we know which big countries will be bigger than Vietnam. But up next, cuts hit big tech. Microsoft to cut up to 9,000 jobs in the latest round of layoffs. I mean, didn't they say that more jobs were opening up? I guess not.
Yeah. Look, I mean, this is one of those things, that it keeps happening, right? These tech companies, obviously during COVID, they grew too fast, then they cut back. I think they're experiencing a second wave of that. I mean, I'm going to be curious to see if other big tech companies follow. Um, I've said for a while, and Leslie, I've done a lot of stuff on the AI side, talked to a lot of people. I don't see how you don't see job reductions in the short term in most of the tech companies. I think inevitably you're going to see cutting. You're going to see. First of all, their job is to deliver to shareholders, like make a profit at the end of the day. So it doesn't surprise me that Microsoft's cutting. Won't surprise me if Meta cuts people. Won't surprise me if every major, even Google, every major tech company does some cuts while they refigure how they're going to build into this next era of whatever it is, and then they'll add later, or they'll add AI. You
Yep,
know,
absolutely. Up next, ETF giant stacks BTC. BlackRock currently owns 696,874 BTC, worth 74 billion for its spot Bitcoin ETF.
yeah.
They keep stacking.
Well, here's what I know a lot of the people listening here are are Bitcoiners. You know, think about this. You know, the CEO of BlackRock 3 years ago said Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. You know, he literally called it a Ponzi scheme. Now they own $70 billion worth of it. And, you know, those of us who believed in Bitcoin early or mid, you know, I'm not an OGer, but I've been in the space, you know, for 5 years. So that doesn't make me early at all, but I'm certainly not late. Um, it's remarkable that, you know, that a company, the biggest asset manager in the world, the CEO was calling it a scam, and now they own almost $80 billion and are reselling that as, you know, retail to buyers is in the ETFs. That's how far Bitcoin has come. In, you know, you're looking at a 15-year-old asset, 15 years, and it's considered probably the seventh or eighth biggest asset in the world. That's a remarkable progression. I mean, how old is gold? Like, you know, gold is like 3,000 years old. Bitcoin's 15 years old, and it's the seventh biggest asset. And the biggest asset manager in the planet is buying it up like no tomorrow because they know. You asked earlier, where does Bitcoin go? I'll tell you, BlackRock knows where it goes. BlackRock's like, Bitcoin goes up this month, next month, 6 months. I don't know. It goes up. Like, we're buying because there's no version of the world where Bitcoin's at 109 a year from now.
Absolutely. Up next, Ripple has applied for a U.S. banking license. That's very interesting. It's the banking industry wants to come into crypto, and then we're going out there because, you know, whoever takes on the banking industry, it's going to be the powerhouse. Didn't Coinbase? I think Coinbase applied for something. I need to look at that, but
I'm not sure. So run that by me again. Who's applying for a license?
Ripple.
Oh, Ripple. Oh, that. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't know the details of that. Ripple's interesting though because they've managed. Ripple's been kind of at the front line of sort of holding the SEC to account. So I would always say whatever Ripple does, I keep an eye on it because you never know what they're
Yes.
up to and they're smart about it.
Yep. Now I'm going to go a little faster on the news just because I want to
We
touch
want to get
into
the
the conspiracy.
conspiracies.
Yeah. And I know we're coming up on time. So, up next, pressure mounts on Powell. A U.S. federal housing regulator is pressing Congress to investigate Fed Chair Jerome Powell. About time. Uh, Up next, tensions rise with Iran. Iran's president has signed a law suspending cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog, a move the US calls unacceptable. I think we can touch on that conspiracy because I have conspiracies about Iran.
Do you?
And oh, Iran, the US, China, Russia. Um,
Wow. Well, let's go to conspiracies then. I mean, honestly, and by the way, no shocker that Iran's like refusing to let. Look, I was doing radio on KBC, the second biggest station in the country out of LA in 2008. And I remember talking about Iran and being like, when are people going to realize they want to build a nuclear weapon? Well, Donald Trump says, you know, since basically 2010, I've been saying, no nuclear weapon for Iran. It's like, I just think everybody's late to the party. Like, these guys have wanted a nuclear weapon for 20 years. They've been planning on it. They've been lying about it. They've been hiding about it. I don't know, everyone's shocked. Like, they're not going to cooperate? Really? They're not going to let people see what they're really doing? Oh my God. Oh my God, Leslie. I didn't know. I really thought they were such cooperative, good guys. It's like, geez, people, just smell the
no,
coffee. Read the room.
exactly. On that note, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
It's all connected.
Welcome back, everyone, to the nightly recap powered by Gokhshtein News Network. I'm Leslie Mota, and I am here with Rob Nelson, and we are tuning into our conspiracy segment, Conspiracy Unsealed, where
we
I don't want
unseal
to
it.
say when we unseal it, we talk about everything crazy. Okay, Rob, you were telling me some stuff behind the scenes, but there's so much that we can touch on. My conspiracies on Iran, Israel, China, Russia, but also you were telling me something very interesting behind the scenes. So I
Yeah.
want you to tell me a little bit more about
All
what you
right.
were telling me.
So I guess technically I'm an OG conspiracy person, right? So if you want to be honest, first of all, you have more conspiracies. I don't know that I can stack them all on my couch right now. But you're like, I got a conspiracy for every country. But I do think that part of the challenge is that we make people feel like if it's a conspiracy that they're wacky. It's like, first of all, everything's a conspiracy until you prove it, right? I mean,
Mhm.
there's and at what point does anybody start going? You've seen enough to question just about everything, right? I mean, let's just take Biden and the auto pen and the half brain gone, right? I mean, was that a conspiracy? Well, I don't know. They covered up that the president basically was brain dead and wasn't even knowing how to walk around rooms. And somehow we went on and ran a country with somebody else running it. Is that a conspiracy? I guess that's, you know, I don't know why you would think our government isn't capable, or any government isn't capable of doing all kinds of things and pretending they're not doing it. So when you say I see conspiracies, I'm like, I always joke, RFK Jr., people are like, well, he thinks vaccines are this or that. I'm like, you know what? You grew up, your dad and your uncle both got assassinated, and there were conspiracies behind them. Give the guy a break for maybe thinking there's something dark shadow behind every door.
Absolutely. I think there are agencies within agencies here in the United States of America. Like one of the conspiracies that, I was following and started like doing some research again is the conspiracy, about the trillion of dollars that was lost and then 9/11 how happened. It
Mhm.
was like and then everybody forgot about it. Where did that money disappear to? There are certain agencies that the public are not aware of that, we're on a need to know basis. You can't know. So if that money truly came to surface and fund some of those agencies that are within agencies, then what would really happen to we
Okay,
can't.
so wait, Leslie, hold on. So wait. So you have too many conspiracies to sort out today. Wait, is 9/11 an inside job? Is that one of them for you?
I would say that a possibility because they're thinking of the
Okay.
greater picture, possibly
Okay.
to protect the unknown because
The
sometimes
inside
some of this
job. US government, George Bush, they pulled or the agencies within the agencies pulled the trigger.
within the
Right.
agencies, yes, it's like to
Okay.
protect the higher purpose.
Okay, what about Roswell? Are there aliens underground in New Mexico
Oh
somewhere?
yeah, freaking absolutely. I don't even think that they're there. They're probably hidden somewhere else and that's probably a cover up to make everybody believe that it's there just in case people go and search and look. I think they're probably hitting
Wow.
somewhere
Leslie, it's
else.
complicated with you. Area 51 is just a conspiracy to hide where it really is. It's the agency within the agency. Oh, you
Correct.
think it's at Area 51? It's nowhere near Area 51. They got to hit somewhere else. Like, wow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm making fun of it, but the truth is, at this point,
No, I love it.
I'm like, so what I was telling you back off stage was, I've spoke to a lot of members of the Kennedy family in my life, and and I've known a number of them, both RFK Senior's kids, and I did briefly know John F. Kennedy Jr. I didn't speak to John F. Kennedy Jr. about any of this, but one of the things that showed up for me was repeatedly a sense, you know, uh, so one of RFK Senior's kids, Joe Kennedy, was a member of Congress in the 90s, and I remember him saying to me in his office. I asked him about, the assassination. I didn't even ask about his father. I asked about his uncle, about JFK, and he's like, "We all know it's a conspiracy." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "The whole family knows it." I'm like, "And why then don't you say more?" He's like, "What would it accomplish?" To your point, he's like, "Do you think we'd ever find out the truth?" So when people are like, "We're releasing the files," I'm like, the family was like, "We're never going to know the truth." They bury that truth so deeply. Like, I'm a member of Congress, and my dad is RFK, was Robert F. Kennedy, and my uncle was John F. Kennedy. I'm never going to know the truth. Like, they're never going to let that truth out. So then, this is the weird part. I was in law school at Stanford in the late 90s, and one of my professors was a guy named John Ely. John Ely is dead now, so technically you could say we are talking about a dead person. He can't say it was a lie. But after class one day, I'm a bit of a, I like talking to people, as you can tell. So I'm sitting in his office with him, and I'm not like the rest of the law school students that are like boring and whatever. So he found me interesting, and I'd been working in politics and worked with Clinton, and we're talking, and I told him about the Kennedy thing. So just so people know, John Ely was the clerk to Chief Justice Warren. So a clerk in the Supreme Court, it's like you're not like an assistant scribbling things down on notepads. You're the one writing the core draft opinions. You're like next to the justice. You're like the most influential person in the room. He was Chief Justice Warren, the Warren Commission, his clerk. So he essentially was part of the entire Warren Commission as a 20 something out of Harvard, and writing it and there for all the hearings and debates. And I said to him, now he's much older. This is the 90s. I was like, I told him my Kennedy story, and I was like, so is what you guys wrote in the report that one person killed Kennedy? Did you guys really believe that? Now, I thought he was going to be like, of course we really believed it. Like, what do you think? He looked at me and he said, I'm not making this up, Leslie. He said, we did what we had to do. I was like, wow. So you
Wow.
basically admitted you told the world what the world needed to hear because you didn't know what the real answer was. And you couldn't be like, sorry, guys, we don't really know who killed the president, but hang with us. We'll get you an answer in a decade. And I was like, you just admitted that you don't know the answer. You don't know who killed Kennedy. And that to me is why we have conspiracies, because underneath in your, you'll make fun of you, Leslie, but the agency within the agency within the agency within the agency. Well, I don't even know which agency we're at this point.
I think there's just a higher purpose to it all. It's like, okay, if we disrupt one area of the world over here, how is that going to impact and disrupt us? So sometimes they have to make decisions that are probably going to seem horrible to the normal population, but it's for per se the greater good, which is
Mhm.
even greater good. There's
So
just
do
so
you
much.
think we're behind Iran? Do you think that we're in cahoots with Iran, like the US? Like, do you think there's a reason? Obviously, there's a reason we would take out their nukes, but do you think there's a conspiracy under that?
I don't think we're in cahoots with them, but I think maybe there was some negotiations that were made for now. Because one of the things that I talk about, okay, when they nuked Iran or the facilities over there, they took out uranium, days prior or whatnot. I mean, how did they even know that we were going to go ahead
Mhm,
and bomb them? Maybe, it's like, hey, in exchange for this, we're going to exchange this, whatnot. I'm not saying that that really happened, but
mhm.
I think right now they are playing a game of chess because I do believe at one point or another we can or we may be moving into a one world government. I know Landy and I go back and forth on this, and he tells me no. But, it's like with the digital era that we are in right now, Bitcoin, stable coins, at the end of the day, they're going to end up controlling all of that as well, just the way that they control everything. It's like, what is that saying that they say? He who owns the money owns the world or whatnot. And do you think that the government is really going to come in and let the humans, let us really control? the monetary system, decentralized. No, they're not.
Well,
Landy says
that's, you
run by
said
DARPA.
before
Yeah.
the show, I think you said to me something about you feel like Bitcoin, and I know other people who said versions of this, that Bitcoin was just essentially, uh, you know,
A
it was
government
a
psyop.
psyop. It was a government
Yes.
psyop to pretend you guys can have autonomy, and meanwhile, it's kind of what you're saying. You're not. You think you're in control of your currency, but actually, we just made you think you're in control with this. But really, we're
Right.
in control because we did it.
Yes, look, so the we everybody knows this and this is public information, but apparently some people really don't know. So SHA-256 was created by the NSA, right? And then Satoshi Nakamoto has never shown his face. All of this happened perfect timing right after the 2008 crash. So if you're seeing history repeat itself, certain things that are implemented happen after certain big events. So right now it's like Bitcoin, they're introducing stablecoin. And then what is happening in the world? What are other distractions? War, with countries trying to
Mm-hmm.
fix that, the what's happening here in America with what just happened recently, all of the freaking chaos that started happening in the streets with what was it? Oh my gosh, it slipped my mind. It's like my little chip
Well,
in
I
my
don't know.
mind.
I mean, you had the whole Palestinian stuff. You had the whole. Yeah, a few years ago, you had Black Lives Matter. More recently, you've had the whole immigration thing. You know, where and protests never bother me that
The
much. I think
protest,
they
yeah.
get more
Which
attention than
but the protests, they were paid protests. I do
probably.
believe that
Probably, yeah. The ICE protests probably
I
were
think those were a psyop too, and I think a lot of these people also paid certain people to be like, "You know what? Let's make it about just the Latinos, the Hispanic, Mexico, whatever, carry these flags, etc." But in the grand scheme of it, it was not just about brown colored people that were just Mexicans or Latino. It was also about other races like from Iran,
yeah.
China and all that stuff, because one of the things that I always talk about was the Iranian sleeper cells that were here in the United States. Landy, Tammy, I would talk about it, Hotep, etc., on David Space. And then after Israel and Iran, now FBI, now the White House published it. Hey, yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
do have Iranian sleeper cells. So it's just always more to the story than
And yeah, and obviously you're right, and that's why. And I'm seeing in the comments, even you know, P- Landy saying, the military needed to check on the system to maintain power. That'd be Bitcoin,
Mhm.
and it makes sense. You could convince me that the CIA created Bitcoin. Like it wouldn't be a stretch. I don't know that's true, but
Did
it
you know
wouldn't.
that the NSA created a paper and it was what published 1996,
Yeah.
97,
Okay.
how to create a mint, and then all of a sudden, all these things happen years later, a decade later. It's like they
Maybe.
were it's like they were aligning everything,
You
for the
know.
perfect.
You know what the problem is, and I'm going to reveal this on the nightly. I'm gonna reveal this on the nightly recap right now. What all you listening don't realize is that Leslie is a psyop. So she's coming in to tell people that it's all a scam, it's all a psyop, it's all a conspiracy. And she is actually a CIA plant to make you think it's all a conspiracy because the real conspiracy is underneath that. So now your nightly recap host, is actually probably a double psyop. And she might not even be the real Leslie. This might be her twin AI. And I might just be the side psyop to the whole thing because it's all was put together by the CIA. I'm
Right.
kidding, but honestly,
And
that's not that crazy.
but it sounds crazy, right? But what if it's reality? What if I am an entity or I work in an agency within the
An
CIA that
agency within
nobody,
an agency within an
yeah,
agency.
that nobody knows, Black Ops, the Lioness, whatever, you want to call it, something that goes deeper than anybody knows. There's different agencies. Maybe they have people out there to create FUD, scare people,
Yep.
fear mongering. You never know.
Yep. right? And that's why it's obvious the ICE protest could be paid. That's like the low hanging fruit that they're going to foment public disturbances or whatever. The really scary part is the stuff we would never ever know. Like, we're talking Manchurian candidate times 100. Like, you didn't just install a president. I mean,
Look,
what if the
Rob,
president doesn't even know he's
while the
installed?
protests were happening, at the time that the protests were happening, people were just I
You did freeze, which I'm just going to say, if you want any more evidence of the
they didn't
psyop
want me to tell
inside
you
the
guys.
psyop, was you literally, the psyop people were like, we're going to freeze her right now. She's just going to go on pause. I noticed I didn't go anywhere because I'm real. I am not a psyop. I am not an agency within an agency. I'm
Look,
the last
every
man
single
standing.
time I am deep in the mountains, Rob, and this happens to me all the time. It's like nobody knows right now if I'm running away from ICE because they're trying to catch me. Nobody knows like what is really happening. It's all a psyop.
Yeah, except me. I am going to say, I'm just going to become Rob, the last man standing. I am the last man standing for the truth. I am real. I might have AI agents, but I am not a psyop. And I am, and
Rob,
probably I'm going to get killed because as soon as that becomes apparent, someone's going to be like, take him out. He might actually cause trouble.
Rob, do you think that one a question for you before you have to head out? Do you think that Bitcoin can be a digital dollar test, or was a digital, or is a digital test run, and we can call it the
Ah,
Trojan horse, and it got people used to
Leslie.
the idea of digital currency, which
Okay.
is paving the way to um, stable coins,
Okay.
which CBDC.
If okay, to your question, if it is, we're fucked. If the U.S. government implements a true, central bank digital currency, which they're trying to do, and which China's trying to, a lot of people are trying to do, for not, and obviously not, I don't mean Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin is the test for that, if they create a genuine, central bank digital currency, we are done. I mean, people, it sounds great. Oh, it'll all be digital. Literally, you think you froze in our conversation? The government could erase you tomorrow if they didn't like you. They could wipe your credit. They could wipe your financial transactions. They could wipe your address. They could wipe your driver's license. They could literally make Leslie go bye-bye. You'd be like, wait, I'm still here. And people would be like, who are you, by the way, ma'am? Do you have an identification card? Yeah, right. No. Like, if they do that, it's only a matter of time till somebody takes that power and utilize it is against us. So
Which
if
it
you're
seems
right
like
that Bitcoin's the ramp up, we're in big trouble.
I do think it is the ramp up. I do believe it is the ramp up. Look, eventually we're going to be moving into where, hey, you have to implant a chip on your hand in order for you to scan food, to scan for items, to scan for product. That's going to be what your digital score. This is how they are going to control and manipulate us all eventually. We're already going to that type of system. And this is why there's so much distractions worldwide
Yeah.
to really take your eyes off of what is really happening. And it's going to become a digital world where you think they fully have control of us now. They're really going to have control of us then.
Leslie, can you change the name of the show to the Nightly Conspiracy Cap? Because I think that's really what we're all heading toward. Well, you got me all wound up now. Now I'm just going to go to sleep thinking about every conspiracy I haven't thought of and wondering just how much, just how much am I not? The worst thing is to think you know stuff, right? I'm like, no, I know
Mhm,
because I talked to so and so. I
mhm.
talked to him. I talked to the Kennedys, whatever. I'm like, wow, what I don't know is probably way scarier than what I do know.
Rob, thank you so much for coming. I know we're at time. I would love for you to come back. Next show, we'll skip the news and really go into
We'll just go
conspiracy
conspiracy,
theory
right?
because I have a lot of conspiracy for you and would love for you to chime in. I think you would love
Leslie,
it.
I would love it. And are you a psyop?
It's one of those things, Rob, is that you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes it's better left set not to know anything.
I love it. Thanks for letting me join you. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate the time.
Yes, thank you guys. Please make sure. Are you on X? Do you have an X account people can follow
I
you on?
I do. Oh yeah, if you want to follow me. And by the way, there were so many comments in the thread, and I wasn't able to notice a lot of them because I was dealing with the
Yeah.
conspiracy issues here. But yeah, my X account is Rob Nelson Live.
You know what? Why don't, if you do have time, come on next Wednesday with me. I do only these by myself on Wednesday. I will bring Landy. Landy is another
Oh, I see
conspiracy.
Landy's
Oh
comments
my
here.
gosh, Rob, you will love him. Sometimes I think he just kind of follows my lead just so to follow my lead, but he has a lot of good. He gives me a lot of information, or no, he doesn't give me anything. He gives me keywords for me to do some research, and then I go down the rabbit hole, and I
I
do a
see
lot of
David Gokhshtein. Who cares about Landy? I can't wait. I'll come on Wednesday. You got
yes,
it.
because I want to tell the public and everybody is that the government, the agencies within the agencies are working. They're literally putting all this information right in front of us. We're just not paying attention because it's right in front of us, but they're telling us everything that's happening and everything that they're doing. And
Well, that's
no,
why you're a plant, because you're telling everybody that it's happening. So, see, I'm telling you, so you will not actually, you'll be like, she's a little crazy, but okay. And what they don't get is she's part of the whole operation. There's an operation behind Leslie, behind, well, it all gets complicated. What if I'm the operation behind it all?
we will call it for tonight Operation Cacti because I'm in the
Okay.
mountains with a
I like
cacti.
it.
Rob,
Operation Cacti. Thanks. Appreciate it. A lot of fun.
yes, it was a lot of fun. Thank you again. And thank you all for tuning in. We will be back. David will be back tomorrow on the nightly recap. And you guys will see me Monday. Friday, we will have off. And everybody, happy 4th of July. And Rob, it was such a pleasure again.
A blast. I'll see you next week if you want. I love it.
Don't go out.